What's up, Dream Warriors? Welcome back to another episode of a podcast on Elm Street. I'm Marc,
And Brooke.
and this is week two of our doing whatever the fuck we want February.
Yeah, accurate.
And we are talking about your pick of The Cabin in the Woods,
Yes.
not 13 Ghosts, like my notes say. Um, this movie came out 11 years ago, man.
That's crazy.
It's fucking nuts, dude.
That's
Like,
crazy.
I remember seeing this in theaters
Hmm.
and thinking it was like such a wild ass movie,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
I went into a blind back then. I had no idea what to expect with it, and it
Yeah.
fucking blew me away.
Yeah. Me too. Me too.
But yeah, so I picked 13 Ghosts last week. You picked Cabin in the Woods. Um,
Huh?
what made you pick this one?
Um, well, apart from us not doing it yet, and like it's pretty obvious we both like this movie a lot.
Mhm.
Um, I think it was a perfect matchup with 13 Ghosts. Like it's like kind of the same, not the same concept, but like there's a lot of similarities
Mhm.
between them, specifically like the glass cages with all the different like monsters or looks and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of do a face off of one of these monsters from this movie
Yeah.
against your pick.
Yeah. It's a very good idea. I'm glad you decided to do that.
Yeah, me too.
Because this episode's long overdue, man. Like we should have done this a long ass time ago.
So long ago, yeah.
I actually sent you a screenshot like shortly after we said we were gonna do this one. Sledgehammer Horror posted a thing and they were like, if anyone wants to invite us on to talk about The Cabin in the Woods, like, and they round off a couple other movies, and I was like, that's actually kind of fucking ironic, but
Yeah.
it's funny. I feel like anybody would love to talk about this movie.
Hmm. Definitely. Definitely.
But before we hype this up too much, what have you been watching since we last spoke?
Um, Not too much this week, I don't think. I've been reading a lot. Um, so I watched been doing my Criterion collection, and this week I watched two of them. I watched one was a Canadian movie, and it's the Denis Villeneuve's kind of, it's on his very first movie, but it's like one of his first.
Okay.
It's called August 32nd on Earth. Um, French movie. I really enjoyed it. Kind of like a romance kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. Watched Dune for the second time. Kind of get hyped up for Dune Part Two, you know.
Yeah.
Then continuing the Criterion collection, I watched a uh Ossos, which is I forget what country it was. Hold on one sec. Portugal.
Okay.
Really depressing movie, but um, there's like barely any dialogue in it, but I really liked it a lot actually. And
Okay.
there's two other movies in this like trilogy, I guess. I think it's just in like the same like town. It's like the same characters, I think, in other movies, but I liked it. It's pretty hard to watch, but yeah.
Hmm.
Then got back on my IMDb train
Mm-hmm.
and watched City Lights.
Nice.
It was okay. I didn't like it as much as his other movie. I forget which other one I watched there, but
Modern Times, I think.
yeah, I think I like Modern Times more. This one was kind of not as funny. And then randomly Bettina was watching this romantic comedy called Set It Up on Netflix. Has like Lucy Liu and um the hot guy from Top Gun Maverick. I forget his name. There's many hot guys in that movie, but Not the main guy, kind of the asshole. He's like kind of like an up and comer.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know who you're
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah, that guy. And then Zoe, uh, not
Deschanel.
Deschanel. I don't know how to say her last name, like Zoe Deitch or Ditch or whatever the fuck her
Oh,
last
okay,
name is. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it.
nice,
And been watching The Last of Us, been playing The Last of Us, been reading, almost done my book I've been reading for a while now, so I'm excited to get that off and done
sweet,
with. And yeah, what about you?
nice. I watched a decent amount this week actually. I was saying to you, I'm trying to catch up to you. You are gonna see my score for The Cabin in the Woods, but I don't really care.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
I love the movie, so whatever. Spoiler alert. Sarah and I watched You People on Saturday night, and
Nice.
I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. I only gave
Okay.
3 stars. I feel like yeah, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. I thought it was really funny. It was well made. Jonah Hill's fantastic as always.
Yeah.
I was saying in our group chat, like he feels like he's never acting, like he's just playing himself as different
Hmm.
characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was really good. I watched The Invitation, which came out last year. Not really a big fan of it. It's a vampire movie, and I'm never really a huge fan of vampire movies, but
Mm.
um, yeah, I wasn't really going into it expecting to love it, but
Yeah, yeah.
I finally watched Sick, which is Kevin
Nice.
Williamson's newest one. I really enjoyed it. It was like your run of the mill slasher movie written by Kevin Williamson, but like
Hmm.
the ending was really cool and different, and
Okay.
I like how he wrote basically a slasher about COVID-19 or COVID-19. Um, yeah, COVID,
COVID 22.
whatever fucking number we're on right now. um, Me and the kids watched Finding Nemo.
Fun.
I found out that Brady's never watched it, so I thought, fuck,
Oh,
let's watch it.
there you go.
There's my score for Cabin in the Woods. I can't even scroll past it.
Whoa, how the fuck did you do that?
I watched it like two
Oh,
nights
the
ago.
the blood up on the
Oh, that's where it shows up. Someone on Facebook, it was on the horror versions Facebook. Someone was talking about like sharing everyone's letterboxd accounts.
yeah,
And some girl said if you in your profile, if you or in your bio, if you hashtag horror or something like that,
yeah.
it'll show a bleeding logo.
Fuck.
So I
That's
tried
sick.
it and I
Yeah.
never saw where it was.
Huh.
But there it is. Okay, cool. So anyways, yeah. We watched Inside Out, also an amazing movie. Also one that the kids had never seen before. I watched Fall
Nice.
last night, or I started it the night before, finished it last night. It was good, but kind of boring, kind of repetitive.
Yeah, agreed.
Um, but I mean, not terrible. And I watched After Yang last night. I was
Okay.
scrolling through Crave and
Yeah.
saw it there. I've been wanting to watch it. There's a couple on there that I really want to watch.
Hmm.
Um, this one was like beautifully shot and like it
Yeah.
looked amazing, but it was really hard to follow.
Yeah, it was. It's kind of boring,
Yeah.
but
Um, Colin Farrell's accent though, man, fucking love it.
yeah.
And then I watched Napoleon Dynamite
Nice.
just because I was going through. I can't remember what it was on Prime, Netflix. I don't remember. And I saw it there. I was like, yeah, I haven't watched this in forever. And yeah, it's always a great time.
Yeah, it's a good one.
But yeah, I still need to watch The Last of Us episode 4. Haven't watched that yet.
Well, you better
But
hurry because they're releasing episode 5 early.
I know tomorrow night. I'll probably end up watching both of them this weekend.
Yeah.
We have Hogwarts Legacy coming out tomorrow, and I am super pumped.
Yep. Me too.
But yeah, that's all I got. Like we said in the intro, we are talking about The Cabin in the Woods from 2011, I believe.
Yes.
2011, yeah. Before we start talking about it, though, what are you drinking?
I am drinking, I believe I've had this on here before, but it's a Collective Arts Stranger Than Coffee and Maple Syrup.
I don't know if you have had that on here.
I've definitely had this beer before. Mm. Maple syrup and coffee.
That sounds amazing, actually. Is that actually what it tastes like?
It does, yeah, actually, yeah.
Nice. I have to try and find some. You always get like the better beer because you live in the city, and I'm at the mercy of small town beer stores.
Yeah, you are.
I'm drinking Muskoka Brewery's Mad Tom West Coast IPA.
Nice.
I think you've had this one on here before.
Yeah, I think so.
It's the first time drink for me. Yep. It's an IPA.
Yeah.
All right. Starting off with the synopsis. Five friends go for a break at a remote cabin where they get more than they bargained for, discovering the truth behind the cabin in the woods.
Dun, dun, dun.
Mm-hmm.
Hello? I'm thinking this thing doesn't take credit cards.
Sign says closed.
We're looking for, what's it called?
Tillerman Road.
Not to get you there, getting back. That's your concern.
This movie was directed by, not only directed by, but it was his directorial debut, Drew Goddard, who also did Bad Times at the El Royale and 4 episodes of The Good Place, which is a great TV show created by Michael Schur, who also created The Office, and Parks and Rec.
They are come to the killing floor.
Let's get this party started!
I seriously believe something weird is going on.
Drew Goddard was also a producer on Alias, Lost, The Good Place, The Martian, Daredevil, and The Cloverfield Paradox. So he's got quite a good resume under his belt.
Yeah. Have you seen Bad Times?
Yeah, I watched it like when it first came out, but I don't really remember a whole lot of it.
Yeah, I think it's on one of the streaming platforms. I always like scroll by it. I'm like, okay, I want to watch this, but then I look at like the runtime. It's like 2.5 hours. I'm like,
Yeah, it's a commitment.
I don't know if I'm committed to it.
It's
Also has Hemsworth in it.
Yeah, it's an all-star cast too.
Yeah.
The cast list starting off is Kristen Connolly, who plays Dana. She's in The Bay, The Happening, Deepwater, Zoo, and 40 episodes of As the World Turns.
I haven't heard that name in forever.
One of those soap operas that's just never going to stop. And like you mentioned, Chris Hemsworth is in this. He played Kurt. I'm not going to ram off of all the fucking MCU movies, but he's in a good chunk of them.
Yeah.
He's also in Star Trek, Snow White and the Huntsman, Spiderhead, and Bad Times at the El Royale, like you mentioned.
It's kind of cool because because this movie was actually filmed in 2009, I think. So it's kind of cool to see like he kind of got not like breakout, but like he's been in a few movies before this. Like he was Star Trek, like played Kirk's dad for like 5 minutes, I think, right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool to see him like in like a horror movie, kind of like one of his first big roles, because like Thor came out the same year, but like I think they were both filmed at the same time.
Well, it's ironic that you bring that up because I have a bunch of trivia that I've written down. And he actually, this was like his big break.
Yeah.
Because during production, MGM saw um that says dailies of a scene where Chris Hemsworth instructs his friends. And on
Mhm.
the basis of that performance, they signed him on for Red Dawn, which came out in 2012.
Oh
And
yeah,
then,
that was the other movie they filmed. Yeah,
yeah. And then 2 days later, he was also chosen to play the lead in Thor.
yeah,
So, like, if he wasn't in this movie, he may not have been casted for those movies.
yeah. Which is crazy. Like it
Yeah.
just kind of goes to show, like, back in like the 90s, 80s, like a lot of these stars we see now started off in horror. So it's kind of cool to see like Chris Hemsworth like basically
Mhm.
got his start from this movie.
Now he's like one of the biggest actors in Hollywood.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Um, what's I gonna say? I actually really like that Red Dawn movie.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. The original's good too.
I haven't seen the original.
Yeah. Same thing, obviously, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's good. Next up I have Fran Kranz. Fran
Fran
Kranz.
Fran Kranz.
Fran Kranz. He played Marty, the stoner or the fool, as
Mhm.
he's mentioned in the movie. He was also in The Dark Tower, The Village, Jungle Land, You Might Be the Killer, and Orange County. And lastly, I have Jesse Williams, who plays Holden. He's most notably known for his character in Grey's Anatomy, I would think.
Yeah, for me it's Detroit Become Human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's also in Brooklyn's Finest and Random Acts of Violence, which is a movie that we did not
Yeah.
too long ago. And then I have two honorable mentions: Richard Jenkins and Bradley Whitford.
Yeah. You gotta mention these two, man. This is like honestly like perfect casting choice
Yeah,
for these two. They just work so well together.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I love both those guys.
Richard Jenkins is like, I don't want to say he's underrated, but like he's underappreciated, I think.
I think both those guys are.
Yeah,
Like Bradley Whitford is really good in Get Out, and he's also really
that's
good
true.
in The Handmaid's Tale.
I forgot he was in The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, he's like in like 3 seasons or something.
Yeah, I forgot he was in that. But yeah, they don't get talked about enough.
No, definitely not.
Like I just watched Step Brothers a few weeks ago, and like he is so fucking good in that movie too, Richard Jenkins.
Yeah.
What the fucking fuck? Um, but yeah, I don't know if you had any other honorable mentions or not.
Yeah, the guy that played Mordecai like kind of looked familiar, like just kind of like one of those like that guys.
Mhm.
And then one of the writers, Joss Whedon actually wrote this, co-wrote this movie as well, and
Yeah.
he's a pretty big name in Hollywood. He's had some good stuff, but also some bad stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
much it.
All right. Okay. Well, you want to dive into the movie discussion? I mentioned before that I had some trivia written down. I don't know if you want me to
There's
just.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of trivia for this movie.
Yeah. There's
I'm also gonna go through like, uh, what would you just do like a quick kind of rundown of like how like the monsters come into play, like all that, because I'm gonna like, yeah,
You want me to do a quick rundown of how the monsters come into play?
well, like just like kind of like I never read the synopsis on IMDb, but like just kind of
Mhm.
like a quick breakdown of like the movie and like what happens, like kind of the
Okay.
concept.
Okay. Well, it starts off as your typical like bunch of friends going to a cabin in the woods. Starts off almost like Evil Dead in a sense. Um, we find out that there's like people watching them in this underground bunker sort of thing. We don't really know exactly what's going on, but they're kind of, I don't know, keeping an eye on them, keeping tabs on them. There's all the typical horror tropes like the harbinger of death and all that shit.
Mhm.
They get there, they find a cellar in the basement, or obviously a cellar in the basement, but and there's like a whole bunch of different shit down there, and they start playing with all the stuff, but then uh one of them starts reading out of this book, and it makes these like fucking this family of zombies kind of come up out of the dead. Then we find out that the people in the underground are kind of controlling everything.
Mhm.
Um, they're not like controlling the outcome. They're just like putting them into the places where they need to be. And then
Yeah.
the characters of the movie control the outcome. And then the last 15 minutes is just fucking all out chaos whenever two of them figure out how to get into this underground bunker.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
all these monsters are kind of like just get unlocked and they just start flying out and killing everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, there's actually like a wiki page of like those like kind of like fandom that has like
Yeah.
a whole bunch of stuff on this movie, like all the monsters, all that stuff. So I'll read through all that later on once we
Okay.
get to that underground part. But yeah, the thing I love about this movie is like it's so aware of itself. It's kind of making fun of like the tropes and also like puts its own spin on things.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's basically um Sitterson and Hadley, who are the two controllers. They're like the directors of like the movie, right? A bit.
Yeah. Yeah, but then there's also the actual director.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if we want to toss that out there yet or not, but
Yeah, so like the director, like the person upstairs, like
mm,
what is her role? Do you think she's like the movie studio and Sitterson and Hadley are the directors?
okay. Yeah. I'm on board with that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So she's like the Lionsgate to their directing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And she's like, making sure that they do everything by the book correctly
Mm-hmm.
and they have one goal and make a good movie, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And like there's one scene in the movie where they talk about like Kyoto and there's like I think Germany was one of them, or
Mhm.
there was a couple other countries and cities, and I would love to see another movie made with like a different location.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'll go through that now since you brought it up.
And like I don't think they're the directors of those places, but they kind of keep like they all work together, I guess we could say.
Basically, the whole movie is they're like doing a ritual.
Mm-hmm.
And so like the American ritual is the one that we see. So like each ritual has its own like specific guidelines. They don't really touch on it, but like in the US they have the five archetypes of like characters. So you got the athlete, the whore, the scholar, the fool, and the virgin.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to do like certain things to complete, I guess, like what the ancient gods are asking for.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whore has to die first, and the virgin has to die last, and
Mm-hmm.
she can still live after, but she just has to be the last person
Yeah.
alive, which is like kind of how horror movies go, right? Like our
Mm-hmm.
typical tropes.
Yeah.
So we also see in the movie the Japanese ritual. So the Japanese ritual is kind of like a parody of J horror genre.
Mm-hmm.
It's mainly little younger kids, like
Yeah.
age 9 to 14. Um, it's basically like young girls, like a lot of like young girls. There's no adult intervention, like such as like a harbinger, anything like that, because you don't really see those in Japanese movies.
Mm-hmm.
No nudity is needed, whereas in the American one, of course you have to have some nudity, right?
Yeah.
We see the Swedish ritual. So with them, a natural disaster must take place.
Mm-hmm.
So in the thing, you see like a large volcanic eruption. And then there's the Argentinian ritual. which you see on the monitor is Buenos Aires,
Right. Yes.
and it
Yeah.
shows a giant ape. So that's like kind of like a parody of the kaiju movies or like
Hmm.
giant monster films. And in the American one, they also have some giant monsters as well. So like it's not only set for them.
Hmm.
They have the Spanish Ritual, which shows like a burning building in Madrid, which is kind of they say is like kind of a parody of like gothic horror, maybe.
Okay.
And I think in one of them is like Dracula that this kind of fan theory thinks is at one of those places.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's cool to see like how they incorporated all those into this one movie.
Yeah, but I do agree with you. Like I think this is kind of like 13 Ghosts. Like
Hmm. Oh, hello.
hello,
You froze on me.
you froze too.
Oh, fucking Jesus. Don't do this to us tonight. God
Uh,
damn it.
God damn. So you couldn't hear anything I was saying?
No, last thing I heard was that you agree with me.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. And like I think this could be made into like a Netflix series or like
Hmm.
something like that where you see like the different rituals. Also the beginning of the movie, I love the opening. You see Hadley and Sitterson, they're like just getting coffee talking about like stuff. You don't know exactly what they're talking about, but like
Hmm.
the one girl Lynn says like, "Oh, you guys," it's she says, "Oh, the Swedes failed. It's only down to you and Japan." And like
Hmm.
Sanderson's like, "Oh, it's always us too. Like Japan has a perfect record. We had that one glitch in '98."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, the chemical team or something like that fucked up." So I'd love to see like how they failed in that one and like which monster it was
Yeah.
uh that they ended up like killing or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah, like we see them, it's just like a regular day at the office. Like you would like if you didn't know what this movie was, like you would think that there was just two guys like in
Mhm.
an office building sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I love Bradley Whitford's which one does he play?
He plays Hadley.
Hadley, yeah. I love his obsession with like the merman.
It's so
Throughout the whole
good.
movie, he's like, I just want to
Yeah,
see the fucking merman.
yeah, yeah. Um, do they mention this is only, I'm guessing, once a year they have to do this?
Yeah, I don't know if they mentioned that or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I love the title for this movie too. Like they're just like talking, and all of a sudden, like it just pops up on the screen really
Yeah.
loud, like bah. Um, I love it.
This was actually a really cool opening credit scene too.
Yeah,
Like I know a few episodes back you were asking me if I what I think about opening credits, but this one was good. I actually watched this one.
because you see like all the rituals and stuff like
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was cool.
yeah. Um, what do you think of our main characters we have in this? We got like Marty, Holden, Dana, and Kurt, and
Hmm.
Jules. Um, I love how like at the start they aren't really they're like kind of a mixture of like the archetypes, right?
Well, yeah, and that's something that I talk about during my review is like I'll just scroll down to it. I'll repeat it again after, but where is it here? So it said like we see the common horror movie characters, but with a bit of a twist on their own. Like the stoner never lasts to the end, but he does in this one. The
Yeah,
virgin in this one has a very provocative relationship with one of her professors, which is like unheard of.
yeah,
The slutty girl is smart.
yeah,
The jock is also smart. Like he's
yeah,
suggesting books that they should be reading instead of the ones that they actually are.
yeah,
And normally it's like the virgin and the nice guy that are the last ones. And Holden dies rather quickly in this one.
yeah. And he's like he's a nice guy, but he's like also
Condescending.
yeah, and you can tell like whenever he finds the mirror, he like wants to look.
Yeah.
And then like he kind of like, okay, he's like, yeah, this is wrong.
Hmm.
So like he's kind of weird. But then like I love how Hadley and Sitterson, like they have to they're controlling like these archetypes. Like they're changing these people into the archetypes that they want them to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like even whenever like Holden and Dana switch rooms because of this mirror, like
Mhm.
they didn't expect that to happen. They expected him to be like a pervert and continue watching her through this two-way or this one-way mirror.
Yeah,
And two-way mirror?
one-way mirror.
One-way mirror, yeah. But then they end up switching rooms and they're like, fuck, like she's in this room now and he's in the other room. So they have to like switch their whole game plan,
Yeah,
which is really cool.
hmm But yeah, and then I love Marty. He's probably my favorite character in this movie.
Yeah, he's funny.
But he is like a stoner, but it like helps him
Mm-hmm.
like in a weird way, right? Because like I don't know, I want to know like kind of more backstory in this. Like this is why I couldn't give this like a perfect rating. Like I know we're
Mm-hmm.
getting ahead a bit, but there's like some like little plot holes. It's like Jules, like I guess she just dyed her hair,
Yeah.
but the
Which I
people in the thing are controlling because the one girl says like, oh, the chemical is in her hair dye that they put in
yeah,
to
that's
make her
true.
like more I don't know, like horny, I guess.
Like, do they have control of them before they even go? Because they have to pick and choose who's going out to this place, right?
I think they do because like I don't think that Kurt's cousin actually owns that. I think like someone just pretended to be Kurt's cousin and be like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I bought this. Here's a free thing. And like, it's just like someone pretending to be Kurt's cousin because it's like, how do they get them into this specific area? And like, is this the same area that they have for every ritual or does it change?
That's true. Well, it would make sense if this was the same one, because it's like this is like the trope, the horror trope, right?
Mhm.
Of the cabin in the woods, right? Like because there's
Yeah.
so many horror
Yeah.
movies that have this cabin in the woods,
Mhm.
and a lot of these, not all of them, but a lot of the characters, like the villains and the monsters, would make sense to be there,
Mhm.
right? Like
Yeah.
it's a cabin in the woods, but there's a lake there. So like the merman would make sense. The werewolf would make sense. The
Yeah.
zombies, like two different types of zombies, they would make sense.
Yeah. The
The giant-
molesting tree.
The molesting tree would make sense. There's this giant flying bat, like that would make sense.
Yeah.
There's a stranger, the strangers kind of, I don't like parody.
Yeah.
Like they would make sense.
Yeah.
So a
Yeah.
lot of them would make sense in this setting.
Yeah.
Like
Because it's all like mostly in like monsters and nightmares that you would see in like an American
mhm.
style movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Marty's ball he has when he pulls up and
Yeah.
as like a fucking ball and Kurt's like, man, Marty, you like you can't fucking smoke your ball in there, and he just like fucking puts it down as like a mug. He's like, what
coffee
are you
mug,
talking
yeah.
about? Yeah.
That thing was
Um,
actually a fully functioning bong and coffee mug.
Yeah, it costs like what?
$5,000 for
Yeah.
the prototype.
That's amazing.
That's so sick though, man.
Yeah.
Like dual purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched this movie twice this week. And so did Marty and Jules date before?
They had a thing, yeah. Because
Yeah,
they do
'cause,
mention
like,
that.
My first watch, I was like, are they like related, like siblings? But I think they must have dated because like there's like some dialogue that like Marty says and like that Jules says,
Mhm.
that kind of like hints towards that they had a thing before.
Yeah, like at one point, one of them, Marty mentions that they like made out or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And yeah, they the people who were controlling, they apparently tampered with Marty's weed
Mhm.
to like kind of like take away the effects of the weed a bit.
Yeah.
So the things that they did in this area, like he would like succumb to them, but apparently he had a different stash and his weed made him like super fucking smart and aware, which is like amazing.
Yeah.
And like everyone else is falling into this trance and like they're acting like the ones who are like stupid, right?
Mm,
Because Marty like there's a few things like when the fucking cellar door opens and they'll go up and like Kurt is like, must have been the wind.
yeah.
And Marty's just like, in what world does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's like this movie's so cleverly written because it's all shit that we see in these horror movies, right? And this movie's just like kind of making fun of them and like putting them out in the forefront of
Yeah.
like that would never fucking happen. Like the
Yeah.
wind's not gonna blow open a cellar door like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like whenever they get downstairs, everybody's playing with all these toys, and Marty's just like, we shouldn't be touching this stuff.
Yeah. I dare everyone to go back upstairs.
Yeah.
And then yeah, whenever Dana starts reading the diary, and she's like, "Oh, it's just Latin that's left," and
Mhm.
Marty's just like, "I highly recommend to do not read the Latin." He starts reading. He's like, "No, stop!" And Kurt's
Yeah.
like, "Stop being a pussy." And yeah, oh
Yeah.
man. What'd you think of the Harbinger?
He was good. I liked him.
I love the scene whenever he calls to Hadley and Sitterson,
Yeah.
and Hadley puts on speakerphone. And he's like, I don't know if it's like he's acting or what, but like he's saying all this like creepy stuff that the Harbinger would say. Like
Yeah.
he's fully in character, and then it's like, wait, am I on speakerphone? That's so rude. Like, I don't know who's in here. And he's like, okay, I'll take you off, and then just like keeps him on speaker.
Yeah.
So
And
funny.
they're all laughing at him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that scene's one of my favorite in the movie. It's so funny.
Another question I had too, like there's whenever they're ready to play Truth or Dare, I think. Uh Jules is like getting ready or something like that, and then one of the chemist girls comes up and to the guys, and they're like, oh, do we want to give her more so and so like to up her libido? And
Mhm.
he's like, oh, say that again slow or something like that. And she's like, don't we get to do it was it like through like the spray or do it orally?
Mhm.
So it's like, how would they get it orally? Like plant food like in the cabin? Like, do you think they have that much, like it's set up that much where they can like do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Cause like she makes out with that wolf head, but I was thinking like maybe it was something with that, but like she was already like all horned up before she made it with the wolf head.
Yeah.
Cause she was like going to town on that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Another piece of trivia, they end up going swimming. And I saw some trivia that was kind of really surprising. I'm sure
About
you have
Marty?
it though. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they all go swimming in the lake, and Marty's the only one that doesn't go swimming, and he remains fully clothed on the dock. And this was partially due to Fran Kranz, or however you say his name, noticeably being in as good, if not better, shape than the other males. So in the commentary for the movie, the writers joke that he was ripped like muscular Jesus and assert that if Marty was shown being that fit, it would ruin his character.
Which just like blows my mind because you
Yeah.
have Chris Hemsworth and Jesse Williams
Yeah.
in it who are both like absolutely ripped.
Yeah.
It's like, how?
So that's why they put him in baggier clothes too, like so it would
Yeah.
hide all of his muscle tone.
Oh man, it's so funny. So I love once they finally like get down there and they're about to pick like their monster, and then you see back at the lab, if you could call it that,
Yeah.
they're starting to do all the bets,
Yeah.
and some of the bets are like so funny. So I have a list of the monsters that you see.
It reminded me like if anybody follows like Barstool Sports or anything like that, like
Yeah.
how those guys all sit like and they'll make bets in their room where they all watch the games and shit.
Mhm.
It just reminded me of that.
So yeah, there's the werewolf, which the finance team bet on. There's alien beast, mutants, race, zombies, reptilians, clowns, witches, sexy witches, demons, hell lord, angry molesting tree, giant snake, deadites, Kevin, who is Elijah Wood from Sin City,
Yeah, I thought that was
which I
really cool.
guess Kevin was in like a deleted scene in this movie. I don't know who they got to play Kevin, but
Oh, I would have loved to see that.
Mummy, the Bride, the Scarecrow Folk, Snowman, Dragon Bat, Vampires, Dismemberment Goblins, which sounds awesome.
Mhm.
Sugar Plum Fairy, Merman, which Hadley bet on. The reanimated unicorn, the Huron, I think that's what it is. Sasquatch slash Wendigo slash Yeti. So I'm guessing that all depends on like the location, maybe,
Yeah, that's true.
possibly. You got dolls, who are like the people from the strangers,
Mhm.
the doctors, zombie redneck torture family, which is the one that we get in the movie, which Ronald the intern bet on with maintenance, which I love
Yeah.
that scene. He's like, all right, here's my bet. He's like, oh, let's take it. Oh, who took it? Maintenance. Ah, fuck. They take it every year. Well, if they were more creative, they wouldn't be in maintenance. Jack-o'-lantern, giant, and twins.
Yeah.
Um,
I love how the one woman comes up to like after we get the Buckner family.
yeah,
She's like, I picked zombies too, and they're like, no, like this was redneck family of zombies or whatever you said it was.
yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, I love this whole like betting scene. I thought it was fucking hilarious.
Mm-hmm. If
Go ahead.
if you were to remake this movie, or if they were to remake this movie,
Mhm.
what would you want to see be the killers?
Um, hmm. That's tough because like there's so many of them we've like seen before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I think like the dismemberment goblins.
Yeah, it's a cool name.
It is, yeah. I don't know, what about you?
Um, if we were going for like strictly horror comedy, I'd love to see that fucking unicorn just fuck people up throughout an entire
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. That'd be funny. Yeah.
um, honestly, man, like that mermaid was fucking creepy as hell. Like that would be cool to see a full movie of that fucking thing.
It would, but like I don't know, it doesn't move that fast. So like I feel like it would be pretty easy to kill, right?
That's true.
Like if you were on land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like let's just say we
Mhm.
have like another horror movie trope and the people are like stuck out in the middle of the ocean or something like that.
Mhm.
Like it'd be cool.
That's true. That's true. Do you think Truman was a nod to the Truman Show?
Oh, maybe.
Because this is like kind of similar, sort
Yeah,
of.
that's true. That's true, man.
Yeah. So yeah, we get the cellar door opens, they all go into the cellar door, and we see some items in the basement they all play with. So I'll run through like which each item is connected to what. So we see Dana pick up patient Buckner's diary,
Mhm.
which resurrects the Buckner family.
Yeah.
Holden picks up the conch shell and like starts blowing in it. Or no, is it?
That was
not,
Kurt.
It's Kurt, yeah.
Yeah.
Which we get the merman, which he almost did, but then he sees the puzzle sphere,
Mhm.
which would resurrect possibly my favorite name in this movie. Fornicus, Lord of Bondage and Pain.
That's so much better than what I named him.
What'd you name him?
I said the pinhead-esque saw face.
Yeah. which like that's supposed to be who he is, right?
Yeah.
We see Jules pick up a necklace, which would resurrect the bride.
Okay.
Holden plays the music box, which would be the Sugar Plum Fairy, which I think would be cool to see.
Was she the ballerina kind of girl with
Yeah,
like the teeth all? Oh, okay.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
There's a fortune teller machine, which would resurrect the clowns. The
Okay.
unicorn tapestry would resurrect the unicorn. The amulet, the werewolf, the film strip that Marty is playing with would resurrect
Oh, yeah.
Kevin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then there's like some unconfirmed items which are like kind of like just like kind of fan made maybe. So like
Hmm.
yeah, I'm not gonna go through all of those because there's just like a lot, but
Yeah.
but yeah, they end up resurrecting the Buckner family,
Of course.
which I think was the right choice for this movie.
Hmm. Well, I mean, that's the easiest one, right? Like if you see a book, you're gonna read it.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
that's true.
it's just like the easiest one to kind of play off of.
Yeah, and like the easiest one that you can have like good kills and like
Hmm.
stuff like that.
Yeah, because like
Especially they're not like zombies; they're just like redneck torture family. So like
yeah,
yeah,
they're kind of like Resident Evil
hmm
biohazard kind of
yeah,
family. But like I was gonna say, like, or how you mentioned earlier too with the whole mermaid thing, like this that villain would not work in this movie.
yeah,
So like, yeah,
hmm
I agree.
yeah.
They picked the right choice.
And I love that the controllers are like piping in like people talking, and when she's able to read the Latin, like Marty's like hears someone like read the Latin, and
Yeah.
Marty's like, what the fuck? We kind of get a little scene with back at the lab of like kind of her explaining to Truman like where these nightmarish people come from. It's like
Mhm,
I think the devil like loans them to
mhm.
them to like fulfill the rituals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a cool
Uh
concept.
yeah, exactly. Um I love the scene with Marty whenever he goes into his room and he's like oh, I'm not your little puppet. Oh, you're a puppet. What do you think of the scene of Jules and Kurt outside when he first like see that whole like thing play out? You see, the controllers controlling the scene.
I think it's really cool. Like, because that is such a focal point in a lot of slasher movies, right? Like, there's always a sex scene.
Mhm.
And the way it plays out is like they're kind of frolicking through the woods and all of a sudden they like raise up the pheromone levels and you see like all this like steam coming up from the ground and like
Yeah.
it's not out of place because like it could be like I don't know, like we see that in the forest and sometimes, right? Like there's
Mhm.
like a fog that comes up out of the ground. But that like helps get her horny for lack of a
Yeah.
better word because like she's originally saying like no like I don't want to do it here and then they
Yeah.
raise those up and then she's like all for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love whenever they like get out there at first and like they're with the kiss. Then
Mm-hmm.
she's like about to take off her shirt and she's like, oh, I'm too cold. And all like the
Oh yeah,
guys
yeah,
in
yeah.
there are like, ah, damn it. And then like
Like raise the
Silverstein
temperature.
like raises the temperature. He's like, watch the magic.
Yeah. um I know like there's a part of trivia in this one too, but because this was Drew Goddard's directorial debut, like he never directed a scene like this. So he was like super uncomfortable with doing this nude scene.
Mm,
And Anna Hutchison, I think is her name, the
uh,
actress, she was like telling him like, no, it's fine. Like it's not even a big deal. Like I don't even care that I have to take my shirt off or anything like that. So it's just like kind of a neat little interaction between the two of them. Like the actor was consoling the
mm.
director because
Yeah.
like I guess he grew up like in a very Catholic household. So like to
Okay.
have this happen was like very faux pas for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it needed to be in the movie because that's one of the biggest horror tropes,
Yeah. It's
right?
one of the requirements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, he raises the temperature, and then Jules is like still like, oh, take me inside. And then like he like puts the light up a bit, and like it's
Yeah.
perfect like moonlight onto the spot, like all the grass, like moss looks perfect.
Yeah.
And then finally we see the first kill. And what do you think of this whole sequence?
Oh man, it's so sick. Like I guess the mother Buckner, she like
Was there a mother there?
there was an older woman, and then there
Okay, I
was
couldn't really tell.
yeah. So she's the one that stabs her in the hand because she's laying on the ground with her hands out. She
Yeah.
stabs her in the hand, and then is it more is what's is it what's his name?
Who, Kurt?
No, no, no. The I don't know, like Father Buckner.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Like I don't know if they had a name for him or not. But anyways, he's always carrying around this big ass fucking bear trap
yeah.
on a chain. And then like
Yeah.
Kurt goes to run away and he fucking hucks it at him,
Oh
knocks
man.
knocks him down with it. And then Jules tries to run and then he fucking gets her with it and like rips it out of her back
Oh
afterwards.
man, every time I watch that, it's like
It's so
cringe.
fucking brutal.
It is, yeah.
And then the whole family of the Buckners come out and they have a great
Oh,
big giant ass fucking handsaw that you would use to cut down a tree. And
fucking rusty fuck.
yeah, and they cut her head off with it. It's so fucking cool.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I got a question how Kurt got away.
Does he get away when they're cutting her head off?
Yeah, but there was someone holding him and
Oh
made him
yeah,
watch. So it's like
true.
he kind of just shows back up.
Hmm.
Whenever Marty is like, because they leave and Marty is like to Dana, like, don't you see what's going on here? And
Hmm.
he's like, I've never seen Kurt and Jules act like this before. Like, he says, like, Kurt like has a scholarship and he just called
Yeah.
Holden an egghead. And she's like, maybe it's your because of that, because he's like smoking so much.
Hmm.
And he's like, I'm gonna go read a picture with books. And then I love this scene too. He's like sitting there, and then like all you hear is like, and he's like, "What?" And he's like, I'm my own brain or whatever." And then they're like, "Go for a walk." And he's like, "No, I won't be your little puppet." And then he's like, "You know what? I'm gonna go for a walk." I love when he walks out. They're like making out, and he's like, he's got a father bulge.
uh, yeah, Marty's definitely an underrated character.
Yeah. So he's out there pissing, and he like looks up, and he's like, I thought there'd be stars, and then he like kind of like puts more stuff together. He's just like something like, we're not who we are or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Kurt shows up, and then I love whenever they turn around and Kurt just fucking clotheslines the Buckner girl.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and then they get back to the cabin and they're saying like we gotta go. And Dana's like, I'm not leaving without Jules. And then they open up the door and the big fucker Buckner, he's sitting there holding her head. And he
Yeah.
just like tosses it in and Dana catches it. And then
Yeah.
she just fucking looks at it, freaks, and fucking throws it across the room.
Yeah. 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 And we see another horror trope that what's this? I always forget his name. Sitterson puts into play here with
Which
the
one's this one?
huh?
Which one's this one?
Whenever Kurt is like, at first he's like, okay, we need to stick together, board up the place, and then like Sitterson is like, okay, I'll take care of this, and then like sprays like the mist, like push a couple of buttons, and then like Curtis all of a sudden is like, we should split up,
Yeah.
because like they do that in every horror movie, right?
Yeah.
And then Mario just has like a look on his face like, what? No. And this is where Marty kind of like uncovers a camera
Mhm.
and there because he like knocks over the lantern or the light.
Mhm.
And I love this scene too. He's just like, oh my God, he's like, I'm on reality TV.
And this is when he gets ripped through the window, is it not?
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
think that he dies. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because he gets ripped through the window and then like it shows the blood like it's almost like in Blade whenever they kill like
Mm.
remember they had that thing and it had to like unlock or whatever
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
Blade. So it's almost like
Oh,
that. There's
yeah.
like a blood trail that goes down and it's like a hieroglyph almost
Yeah,
of the fool and it
yeah,
starts to fill it all out like as if
yeah,
he's dead.
yeah. And then something I picked up on the second watch is like after you think that Marty's dead, the whole like place starts rumbling, right? Because it's the ancient
Mhm.
gods, and like Sitterson and Hadley are like, "Oh, what's that?" And then Hadley says, "Oh, they must be happy." But I think they knew that Marty wasn't dead.
Yeah. It's almost like they were I don't know if they were like annoyed or pissed off or if it was like more of a warning. Like,
I think so
yeah.
because they like break the blood right to go down in. But if like he's not dead, then it's kind
Hmm.
of like, you're pissing off the gods.
Yeah. Like that thing might have filled up partially, but it didn't fill up all the way. So they
Mhm.
didn't get that full sacrifice that they needed.
Yeah, yeah. Um, that's another thing I love this movie so much. There's so many like twists and turns that like happening,
Hmm.
like unexpected things.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Uh,
The fucking dirt bike, man.
oh
I
man.
can't-
Um, yeah, and quickly, Dana and Holden end up in like the black room, which is where the father killed people.
Mhm.
Holden takes that bear trap to his back as well and like starts getting pulled up, and it's like, oh fuck.
That would hurt so much.
But then Dana stabs that guy.
Mhm.
Doesn't kill him, obviously, but and then Kurt shows up, takes him out of there. He's like, Marty's dead. They get on the RV
Mhm.
and they start going through the tunnel, and then Hadley and Sitterson are like, what the fuck? Like the tunnel's not blown. Like, what the hell? And like Sitterson like hooks it out of there, goes to like electrical. He's like, what the fuck's happening? And they say like there was a glitch from upstairs. Like we didn't get like the order to blow the tunnel.
Mhm.
So he like blows the tunnel, they back out. Um, and then like one of the most unexpected scenes, like
My God,
from
man.
my first watch, because like
Yeah.
my first watch, like at the beginning of the movie, when they come to this area, you see the hawk, right? Like
Yeah.
like fly through, hit the barricade, but like there's so much stuff that happens between there and that, and like when Kurt dies,
Hmm.
that like the first time I saw it and saw Kurt die, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Man, I still remember like this is 11 or 12 years ago watching this in theaters. I still remember the reaction of that movie theater whenever he fucking hits that barrier. Cause oh man, it's so fucking great. He hops
It
on the dirt
is.
bike being the fucking jock that he is. And he's just
Yeah.
like, I can make it. And they're like, no, like that's really far. He's like, oh, I've jumped further than this.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back and get the army and choppers and very large guns. You're going to kill them for what they did to Jules.
Oh fuck, man.
uh,
And he just fucking guns it off this cliff and like he looks like he's gonna make it. He's got good trajectory and just fucking boom hits
yeah.
this fucking like dome barrier thing.
Yeah. Oh man.
And you
So
just see
funny.
him like toppling down it.
That's a far drop.
It is a far drop.
Yeah. So yeah, now Holden and Dana are driving back. And then while they're driving back, Holden gets stabbed through the face by one of the rednecks. And
Hmm.
he crashes into the water. Dana
Dana.
gets away. She gets up in the dock, and then everyone in the lab start partying and and drinking. And I love this like montage. I don't like
Hmm.
montage, but I love like the music like starts playing,
Yeah.
and then like the camera pans out from like the video like TV, and you see like just Jules in the background like getting like fucked up, like beat
Yeah.
up, like tortured by this guy. And meanwhile, they're all like partying. One guy's like hitting on a girl. He's like, "Hey, I heard that you like ballet. I happen to have 2 tickets." And she just walks away and like they're just having like a normal work party, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So funny. Um, yeah, and then during the party, uh Citizen goes up to electrical guys and they mention again, like, oh, there's a glitch like from upstairs. And then Citizen says, like, what do you mean upstairs? Then you get the phone call. So, like, what do you think like the glitch was?
You think maybe she knew that Marty wasn't dead?
Yeah.
Because like she's probably keeping an eye on the gods, right?
What if the glitch was to not blow the tunnel? Then like maybe someone was like, I don't know, maybe that's far fetched, like
Mm,
trying not to blow up the tunnel so they can get out.
yeah. Or maybe the director wanted to create like a real life catastrophe. So like she didn't want any of this to actually pan out. And she wanted the gods to come up and like just fucking wreak havoc.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, then you get the phone call and Hadley picks up and you don't hear the person on the line, but you know that like they're saying, oh, someone's still alive.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, who? And then like it goes back to Dana and like she's getting fucked up. He like has the thing, and then all we see is this like heroic music and like the fucking bomb goes up and stops it. And then like during this, you can tell that Marty is jacked.
That's true. Yeah.
I thought so at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, grabs it, she hits him, falls in the water. And so Marty takes her to like the graveyard where he finds the elevator and he like figured stuff out. He hatched one of the zombies up with a trowel.
Mm-hmm.
And then they move into this elevator and yeah, why don't you go into what happens on their ride down to
Okay, so yeah, so they're going down this elevator, but it's almost like this is a stupid fucking comparison, but it's almost like in Monsters Inc. how there's like the doors and they like go sideways and they go up and they go down.
A great comparison.
So it's like that. It's like an elevator shaft that like moves in all directions. So they're going down and then like there's like they're like in between these glass walls or something like that. And they see this little girl with their back to them. And she's like behind this glass wall. And she slowly turns around and it's the sugar plum fairy. And her whole face is like a row of teeth and like rows and rows of teeth. And then they turn around and it's fucking Sawface, whatever his name was that you mentioned.
Fornicus,
Guar's newest member. And he's holding like basically like a fucking Dybbuk box. And like he's super fucking creepy, man. Like he doesn't do anything other than just like stare at them and like kind of turn his head every once in a while. But he's like, he's super fucking creepy. And then do they see any more?
Yeah, they see the werewolf first.
Oh right, yeah. The werewolf comes out of like the darkness.
Yeah. Which like that werewolf is fucking scary, man.
Yeah. It's a good
like
werewolf.
It's a fucking brutal wolf, like fast, fucking yeah.
And then I think they see the like the fog ghost kind of thing.
Yeah,
too.
which like that ghost kind of seemed like not a bad person.
I mean, yeah,
because like whenever it was like they saw it, it was like trying to get out, and then like Alvarez going down, he's like down there, he's like no, like trying to like call them for help, kind of.
Yeah, maybe.
Like kind of like a lost soul, I guess, is what he is.
Yeah. And then so they learn like that there's all these monsters down there, and then they get out of the elevator and they're hiding in this like control room.
Yeah, because they figure out which elevator they're in, and then like the guy comes in with the gun.
Yeah.
And the zombie hand like fucking kills the guy.
Yeah.
Or they knock him out, and like zombie hand is like going like to his head.
Yeah. And then they get into this control room, and Dana's like, I can't remember exactly what she says, but she starts flipping switches, and then she hits the fucking big red button.
Yeah.
And all the military guys are out there, and you just hear ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding, and they're like, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah.
And then just the elevator doors open up, and you see like the full view of like this like hallway, and just from both sides, just fucking monsters come flying out of every single elevator. They kill all of them,
Oh man, it's
and
funny.
then it shows the view of like Dana and Marty in the control room still, and there's a glass window, and the glass window is all full of blood.
Yeah.
And And then
so yeah, in the first wave of monsters, we see the dragon bat, the angry molesting tree, great name, the zombies, the dismemberment goblins, the giant snake, the killer robot, who is like this robot that's like has all these fucking saw blades and shit.
It's like a scorpion robot.
Yeah. A witch and the werewolf.
I didn't see the witch.
Neither. I didn't see her either.
Okay.
But
might have to like slow that scene down because there's so much going on.
So much going on, yeah.
And then so you see the hallway and it's all just like fucking blood everywhere, man. Like it's like the scene in The Shining when the elevator doors
There's fucking bodies falling from the ceiling.
From the ceiling. There's 3 zombies just like hunched over eating one of the soldiers, and then like the body part falls from the ceiling, and one of the zombies like jumps like it's scared, and then there's more fucking more military that come in, and they're just like kind of standing there looking at everything, and then you hear ding ding ding, and they're like, oh fuck, and it's just chaos all over again. And that vampire bat flies through the glass window where the control room is.
So in the second wave, we see Fornicus, Lord of Bondage and Pain, the alien beast, and the dolls we see emerging. While the other creatures that emerged at the time weren't identified during the massacre, though the 6 possible creatures, judging by the sounds heard during the moment, might have been the rabid dogs, the Sasquatch, Wendigo, Yeti, the witch, which they have Left for Dead in like brackets on here, the tank.
Like the witch from Left 4 Dead?
Yeah, the witch and the tank from Left 4 Dead.
Okay.
The giant owl and the giant alligator.
I don't remember seeing a giant owl.
No, it's what you hear, I guess.
Oh.
And same with the alligator.
Okay. Don't we hear the clown at this point too? Like, don't we hear him laughing?
Well, we see him, right?
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, so we see the alien beast, we see the American slow walking creepy girl. She's the one that's like following the guy, just like crawling away.
Yes.
The tree, we see a balding menace. I don't remember seeing him. The clown, who is like just creepy guy, stabbed the guy, then like a girl starts shooting him, but he like can't be killed.
He was creepy.
There's a creature with patterned segments of armor on its head, which we see in the camera. There's a cyclops, the deadites, the demons. You see like a lot of that shit. What are some of your favorite moments from this scene?
There's one scene where I don't know if it was a zombie or what it was, but it was like a human type person throws one of the soldiers off of a balcony kind of thing, and the king cobra comes up and like fucking grabs it midair. The fucking unicorn kill is so sick, man.
It's so funny.
And there's another scene that I talk about later on during my scariest scene. There's one of the characters that we see on the camera might be your armored person or whatever, but they're like fucking crawling on the ceiling.
Oh yeah.
And they get their face like right up into the camera. So creepy.
Oh, and
the fucking the killer robot thing, like chasing Buddy down the
Yeah.
staircase.
Yeah, that's good too.
What about you?
Uh oh fuck, I mean, I forgot to mention one of my favorite parts even before all this. We see that Japan failed,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and Sitterson is like they're watching, he's like has his hand on the TV, he's watching it, and he's just like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. All to the little girls because they beat the ghost. Oh
Yeah,
man, fucking fun. Um, yeah, the unicorn. Man, there's so much that happens. The doctors, you see them like they have a person like on like a table and like they're pulling
oh
her shirt
yeah,
away and has like the scalpel.
yeah,
You see like the strangers, they like dump gasoline on a bunch of people, light them on
yeah.
fire.
That one was really creepy too.
You see Fornicus has like a guy hanging, and
Yeah,
then he has like his like demon assistant like there. He's just like there, like about to do some fucked up shit to this guy.
yeah.
Um, I would love to see a sugar plum fairy kill,
That would have been cool.
but you don't. You just see her dancing. Um, I really like the Scarecrow Folk, which
Mhm.
we might talk about later. They kill Truman.
Yeah.
We'll save that for later. Obviously, one of the best parts of the movie is Hadley's death. He's there. He gets kind of blown up, and then he's like lying there, and you just see from the smoke the merman slowly moving over, and he's like, "Oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me!"
And it's like a really weird, gross mermaid design. Like
Yeah,
this thing looks like those types of fish that you find like 6,000 meters under the ocean, like
yeah,
surface, and like
yeah.
I don't know, it's fucking creepy looking.
Because whenever they after the bets, Hadley's obviously upset because Merman didn't get picked.
Yeah,
And Sitterson is just like, oh, it's okay. He's like, Merman is it's a hard cleanup or something like that
yeah,
after, because like he just like sprays blood everywhere of his own
yeah.
fucking hole.
Yeah, the,
Um
the scarecrows kill Truman. The mermaid kills Hadley.
we see Lynn get taken off by the Kraken.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And then Sitterson gets down below. Um and then like right away, Dana stabs Sitterson.
Hmm.
And he tells her like kill him because like obviously he wants him to die.
Hmm.
Then they get to like this middle part, and you finally see like the I don't know, the director or whatever. Which is we didn't even do her honorable mention.
Well, because it's kind of like a
Cameo.
cameo.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Um didn't they want to get someone else instead of her, but they couldn't?
I'm
Wasn't
not
that in
sure.
trivia or something like that? I
I
thought.
don't know.
Anyway.
Who the fuck else would you want to get though?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, who's better than this?
Yeah. Um so she comes in and she's like explaining everything they're doing, like with the gods and all that stuff. And then Dana is about to kill Marty, but then Marty like sees the werewolf behind Dana. The werewolf bites the shit out of Dana, and then does
Because
Marty end up shooting the werewolf?
well, Dana's first of all, we didn't say who the director is. Still,
Oh,
it's motherfucking Sigourney Weaver.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, Dana's holding the gun to Marty's head, and then she's like, "I'm sorry," and then he turns around, and he's like, "So am I."
Mhm.
And then, like you said, the werewolf bites her,
Yeah.
and yeah, Marty kills the werewolf. I don't know how though. I can't remember how.
He must have got a gun somewhere.
He did have a gun because he shot like a zombie type thing whenever they're going through the hallway. So he had a gun.
But then where did Dana get her gun?
Oh yeah, true. From Sitterson, maybe?
Oh, she probably dropped the gun whenever she got bit by
Yeah.
the werewolf.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. Uh so yeah, Marty shoots the werewolf, and then um Marty gets in a who gets in a fight with Weaver. I think it's yeah, I forget. Anyway, one of them gets in a fight with Weaver, and they're like struggling. Oh, Marty gets shot, I think, from Weaver. And
Yeah,
then
she tries to kill him.
you see Patience, the one-armed zombie, she comes in and she stabs Weave right in the back of the fucking head.
Yeah.
And then she pushes both of them off into the abyss or whatever where the
Hmm.
gods are. And then Marty and Dana are just like sitting there. Marty rolls a joint, smoking. They're like, really wish I could have saw these gods. It would have been cool. And then
Yeah.
she's just like, yeah. And then like the gods finally put a hand up and then like slam down, and then like that's it.
Hmm.
Movie over.
Yeah. Did you read the trivia about Marty and like the weed?
Not that I remember.
He went through extensive like weed training.
Hmm.
Like they taught that he had a 2 hour course with experts, it said, on how to smoke a bong, how to smoke a pipe, and how to properly roll a joint.
Wow. All right.
So this guy's obviously not a stoner in real life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to see a sequel or like a standalone sequel, like a different rendition of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a different location. Or I mentioned also in my review, like a TV show, like
Yeah.
how you mentioned too.
Yeah.
Just feel like these movies with all these different characters would do really well as TV shows.
Hmm. Well, I guess there was supposed to be a sequel 10 years later, but I don't think it ever happened.
Oh, we haven't seen it yet, so I doubt it.
No. Um, yeah. There's actually I just saw an article from like this year that is like why the horror sequel probably never happened.
Hmm.
So we could post it in our Instagram or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway,
did you have anything else that you wanted to mention or talk about before I wrap this up?
I just wanted to quickly mention another thing. Like, we almost didn't have this movie because the movie studio went bankrupt.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Lionsgate picking it up, like we wouldn't have
Mhm.
had this movie.
Yeah, which
And
is kind of crazy.
it is crazy. And like I feel like this is a movie that like the horror genre needed.
Hmm.
Because it's just like it takes the typical tropes and just like kind of flips them right over.
Yeah.
Like we've seen meta horror before, obviously, but like this is like meta horror on steroids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel like I haven't heard any single person say they don't like this movie,
Hmm.
or that they don't like have a great time watching this movie. And I feel like this was a movie that needed to happen, and we
Yeah.
almost didn't fucking have it.
Yeah. I kind of the way I feel about this movie is like I'm not like comparing it to the movie I'm about to say, but like it's not on the same level as Scream, but I
Mhm.
feel like they're similar in like that very meta way, like very different from other movies. And I
Mhm.
think they both did it very well. Um,
Mhm.
so I kind of like see as like this movie as like the new generation, like Scream, sort of, but
New
like not
generation
really.
of meta horror, anyways.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I concur.
Cool.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Alrighty. Well, that's the way the blood splatters.
There's a fucking lot of it in this one.
There is, yeah, quite a bit.
All right. I don't know your letterbox score on this one, so I don't know how you're going to rate it.
Okay.
I have thoughts, but I don't
Yeah.
know for sure.
Okay.
So
Well, we had the same score, but
okay.
so my story, I gave a 9 out of 10. I would love to give this movie a perfect score. I love this movie so damn much, but I just don't think it's a perfect movie. So 9 out of 10 for story. There's like a few plot holes that like I have some questions about, but like it's not that big of a deal. The writing in this movie is fantastic. The meta, all the characters I love. We talked about this at great length during our discussion, but like
Hmm.
all the horror tropes we get, all of the archetypes of the characters, the harbinger, like it's all this like American horror that we grew up to love and still love to
Mhm.
this day. Um, yeah, so 9 out of 10 for story. For quality, also gave it a 9 out of 10. I just think it's like one of the best, one of the well-made movies of the past, well, I guess over 10 years now, but say the last
Mhm.
15 years. I can like watch this movie. This is like a rewatch, like for me. Like if I watched it within twice within like 3 days, I didn't get bored the second time around. Like
Mhm.
the rewatchability of this is like crazy. Yeah, I think it's filmed great. It looks great. The CGI and stuff, and like the makeup effects are done really well. Which you could kind of like overlook because there's so much happening
Mhm.
in the last sequence, but like a lot of like the human characters look cool. Even like some of the CGI doesn't look bad at all.
Mhm.
So yeah, I thought the acting was great too. I love the score. Yeah, and I just really love this movie.
I can tell.
Yeah. What about you?
We have the exact same scores.
I kind of figured.
Yeah. So I gave both a 9 out of 10. I'll just
Yeah.
throw that out there. My story, I said this movie takes meta to a whole new fucking level, and it's done so well that it's almost believable that stuff like this could actually be behind the scenes of some of our favorite horror movies, like a movie within a movie kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a fresh take on the whole meta horror, and it's brilliantly written. The characters are all common horror movie characters, but with a bit of a
Mhm.
twist on their own. I've already went through all that shit earlier, though. And I did mention again, much like 13 Ghosts, I think this one would thrive as a show. Although this one is fantastic as a film already. Like I mentioned, quality is a 9 out of 10 too. Acting was great, as was the script. It's all stuff we've seen in horror movies, but in this case, everything's kind of turned upside down, and we see the even darker side of these like cabin in the woods type horror movies.
Mhm.
Like yeah, obviously horror movies have a dark side, but like in this one, like it's dark behind the scenes too. Like these motherfuckers are betting on how these guys are gonna die. Like
Yeah.
it's insane. Like and like they make it a comedy, like the underground stuff. Like it's a comedy, but it's also
Yeah.
like a super dark comedy.
Yeah.
Um, I love that the villains and the monsters were ones that we've seen before, but like Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard, like they put their own spin on them. Like they wrote
Mhm.
60 different monsters for this
Yeah.
movie. Like they
Yeah.
created 60 different monsters.
Mhm.
The people underground were incredible as villains in their own right too.
Mhm.
Um, and that final 15 minutes, man, like just pure chaos, like
Yeah.
adrenaline pumping.
Yeah.
Like I just want more and
Mhm.
more and more.
Mhm. I don't really see like the underground people as villains,
Come on. They're setting these people up to die.
but they have to.
I
Like the
guess.
ancient
Yeah,
gods are a real thing, right? We see at the very
that's
end.
true.
And like the whole betting thing, I get it because like if Sitterson's been doing this since like 98, like if he's been doing this like for like 15 years, like
Mhm.
the first few years, like obviously he probably is like, fuck, we're killing people. Like at a certain point, you gotta be like, okay, we gotta have some sort of like fun in
Fun.
this, right? Like if I'm gonna be doing this for my career, I may as well be having fun or doing something to like bring joy to it, right? I don't know.
I guess, but
Like I don't see Sitterson and Hadley and them as villains. They are
okay, but
doing what they have to do because the
okay,
ancient gods asked them to do this a specific way.
all right. I agree,
Yes.
but this is a job for them.
Yeah.
Would you apply for this fucking job?
If it paid well.
Jesus Christ.
That,
But like, A, how do you get a job like this?
that's a good question. I do not know.
And B, like, you don't apply for a job that you don't think you'd be fit to do. So like you got to have some sort of fucking psychoticism in your brain
Well,
that's
actually,
gonna have you set up 5 people to fucking die like once a year.
yeah. Yeah. Now you brought that up. Like I thought because Truman, he's new to this job, right?
Yeah.
The way they were set up his character, I thought he was gonna have like more to do with it
Mm-hmm.
because he had that like kind of
He's super skeptical.
yeah, right, and he kind of felt bad, but he just dies at the end, so it doesn't really nothing
Yeah, fuck
happens.
him
But,
anyways.
oh man, if this job paid you $200,000 a year, yeah, exactly. See,
I mean, I maybe,
yeah, see,
maybe.
okay.
Am I willing to kill 5 people a year for $200,000? I don't know, man. And it's not like these are bad people. These are fucking college students.
Right, and the people who are doing this job aren't bad people either. They just it's their job.
I don't know. I don't know. We gotta.
Someone has to do this job.
Okay, someone has to do it. I get that. But that's my point. Like, it's only a certain group or type of people that would be willing to do this job. Like, you got to be willing to fucking kill people, man. Like this is like saying that like a fucking hitman is not a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do this job because it's your job.
Yeah, and you're just setting people up to make their own decisions.
No, you're setting them up to fucking make the decisions to kill them off.
Yeah.
They have to die. You're you're just giving them a push in the direction.
Exactly. You're not killing them yourself.
I don't know. I'm gonna pull this on Instagram. We'll see.
Okay.
I get what you're saying. Like the ancient gods, like you have to do it. Someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I gave them both a 9 out of 10, just like you did.
Very nice.
All right, you guys know our scores. Let's head on over to Rotten Tomatoes and see what they've scored it. The critics' consensus: The Cabin in the Woods is an astonishing meta feat capable of being funny, strange, and scary, frequently all at the same time. So what do you think the critics scored it?
I think it's high, but I'm not going to use like my bias towards this movie. So I'm going to say like 87.
You're close. It was a 92.
Damn it, I was going to go that high too, but fuck.
So it is certified fresh. On 291 reviews and an average score of 7.9 out of 10. The audience score was a 74%.
Oof, that's too low.
On 100,000 ratings, but an average score of 3.8 out of 5 or a 7.6 out of 10.
Very nice. So on Letterboxd, this has a 3.5 out of 5. You and me both rated it a 4.5. Loading here. Our boy XHR Pod gave it a 4 out of 5. Um, Pretty sure Jensen gave it. Yeah, our boy Josh Bowers gave it a 4 out of 5. Anthony from Porcelain Peak gave it a 4 out of 5. John from Porcelain Peak gave it a 5 out of 5. Jensen
Okay.
gave it a 4 out of 5. Yeah,
So
a lot
lots of
of four,
fours.
a lot of fours. Yeah,
That's respectable.
slashing Captain 4.5. So this is a very well received movie.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
As expected.
Yes, sir.
All right, you ready for the scare section?
Yep.
Okay. What did you give it for a scare rating?
Scare rating, I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Just a lot of the kills are brutal. There is like a couple of jump scares and loud scores that happen at the right time. And also you never know, this may happen one day. Probably not, but hey, you never know.
Hey, in your world, it's got to happen.
Yeah. Scariest scene. I went with like either being the person that the doctors
Mm,
took or Fornicus, because like the doctors, you see them pull apart like the shirt and then
mhm.
like fucking just have the scalpel.
Yeah.
There's also like one group, I don't know if it was the dismemberment goblins, but like this guy's like lying on the table and they're like holding his arm and like one jumps up on the table, like starts puking in his face.
I don't know if I saw that.
Really? Oh man, it's disgusting.
Maybe I did. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
yeah. But just like being or like I'm gonna change my answer.
Okay.
Okay. The soldier, one of the soldiers at the beginning, whatever, like the one guy, like here's a ding, and he's just like, oh shit. And then just like
Yeah.
instantly get fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. You know you're fucked.
Yeah. Yeah. And then would I survive? Probably not, because like I don't know, I'm kind of a mixture of everybody, to be honest.
That's true.
I'm a virgin, I'm a whore.
I was gonna say you are pretty
I can be
slutty.
a jock, I can be a scholar when I want to, and I can be a fool.
You're like that Alanis Morissette song. No, not that one. Not Alanis Morissette. Who sings that? Anyways, never mind.
How
Fleeting thought. It's gone.
about you?
My scare rating, I gave it a 4 out of 10. I said although it is a horror comedy, there are some very creepy parts in this movie. The Buckner family is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
The I said the ballerina because that's what I thought she was, but the sugar plum fairy, which I mean,
Mhm.
I guess in turn is a ballerina. She's super fucking creepy. And I said the pinhead-esque saw face, which I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
is so effectively creepy in his little bit of screen time. Like, but there's so many like creepy ass characters in this movie.
Yeah.
And like if you think about it, it's like every fucking horror movie mixed into one, right?
Mhm.
Scary scene. I already mentioned it, but like there's a very quick scene of that person crawling on the ceiling and like
Yeah.
shoving its face in the camera. And it's like it's so quick, but like so effective at the same time. Like that
Mhm.
thing is fucking scary, dude. Like I don't
Fucking
know.
straight out of a Marilyn Manson music video.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I said like that fucking clown too, man.
Yeah. He was
Like
creepy.
fuck that clown, dude. I'm
Uh,
starting to get over my fear of clowns, but like that dude was
yeah.
just fucking ugh.
Yeah.
Would I survive? I said, yeah, fucking right. Like there's no way in hell.
Hmm.
I'm not even gonna try and fucking pretend like I would.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. So with
Question,
all
real quick.
yep.
I know this episode's been going for like 2 hours.
Yeah, it has been actually.
So I know they get like trapped in this area, but like say that they kill the whole Buckner family,
Mm.
like we see other countries do it.
Mhm.
how do they just like let them go? Like, what do you think
I think they
happens?
must, but like at that point, the entire world has failed.
Okay, but okay, so say Japan succeeded or whatever,
Oh, okay.
but say they failed, like would they just like open the tunnel back up, or like how the fuck would they get out of there?
They must.
Yeah,
Because like they're not going to kill all those little girls from fucking Japan, are they?
no, yeah,
I think yeah, just
hmm.
everybody's a final girl.
No, okay, fair
I
enough.
don't know. All right, well, it's that time
Yep.
to wrap up the villain face off. We'll hop into Loomis's villain evaluation. Um, who did you pick to face off against the Jackal from 13 Ghosts?
So, um, I didn't want to pick the zombie redneck torture family because I felt like the main dad just reminded me too much of Hatchet, and we've done him before.
Mhm.
A lot of the other monsters we've either like done a version of them, or we just didn't see enough of a monster. Like I really wanted to pick like the merman would have been funny, but like he would have had no shot. So I picked the Scarecrow Folk.
Mhm. You threw
So
me
yeah,
for a loop with that one.
I figured I would. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You said it was down to two whenever I was asking you about it. Who was the other one?
The redneck family.
Oh, it was. I'm okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right.
Because like the werewolf, we've done like a version of that. Like I feel like
Mhm.
the werewolf would have destroyed the jackal.
Yeah.
Fornicus, we didn't see that enough of him to like
Mhm.
no way. I couldn't put the fucking snake up against the jackal. Like, come on. uh, yeah,
Yeah, both of these movies are very tough to do this with because of the fact that everybody has such little screen time,
yeah, yeah,
right? Like the Jackal has like what, fucking 45 seconds. The Scarecrow folk are like maybe 10 seconds.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. But we do get a glimpse of like what they can do, right? Just in that
yeah,
little time.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's very true. So
yeah,
yeah, we're gonna do our best and we're
yes,
gonna see who comes out on top.
yeah.
And you're gonna go first.
Okay. Um, so for strength, I'm basing my scores off of one Scarecrow Folk,
Okay.
not as like the group, because as the group, like they're pretty strong because they
hmm
pick up Truman like fucking nothing.
hmm
So as like one Scarecrow Folk, I'll go with like 17
Okay.
because like I feel like it's a monster, so he's like kind of strong, but they're not that big. So yeah, I'll go with 17.
Okay.
For brutality, I want a 28 because they
Okay.
like just fucking tear, kind of like the jackal, right? They just fucking
hmm
like go nuts. I thought I heard, did you hear scissors? I
Maybe,
heard like
yeah.
something when they were cutting up Truman, but like they're just going fucking ham on this guy, pulling out all like pulling out the straw, like kind of like how they are,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, fear factor, I went a 20 out of 30.
Yeah.
They're not like overly scary, but I really did like their design, kind of like the Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that was like real people. It'd be cool to see if there was like actors.
hmm
Could we kill it? The higher mean we wouldn't be able to kill it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to 18 because we do see Truman shoots one of them, but it's just straw, so it just keeps coming at him. But I feel like one on one, like just pull out its fucking straw or like rip its head off.
hmm
Maybe I could have a chance. The dexterity gave a 24 out of 30.
Okay.
Um, it's a monster made of straw. Like it has no cardiovascular system. It can move pretty quick.
That's fair.
Uh, so yeah, 24 out of 30.
Okay. All right.
This is
For
ridiculous, by the way.
it is ridiculous. Okay, for brutality, I I took them as a team. I didn't do them as
Okay,
one
that's
single
fine.
person. But for brutality, I gave them a 22.
Okay.
I said they work as a team to tear Truman apart. Give him more screen time, and I think we would have seen a lot more deaths than what we saw.
Mhm.
Because yeah, I mean they fucking tear through him pretty easily.
Yeah.
Uh, for strength, I gave them a 25.
Okay.
I said they get shot and they still keep coming.
Yeah.
They do have a weakness,
Mhm.
which we don't see it, but given the fact that they're scarecrows and they're stuffed full of straw,
Mhm.
I would assume that fire would be a pretty good weakness for them.
Didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I said I assume fire would be a weakness, but clearly bullets aren't. And I like how you mentioned like they fucking pick him up and they tear him apart. Like that's obviously high for strength.
Yeah.
Dexterity, I give them a 14. Um,
Okay.
I said they move faster than I'd expect from scarecrows, but like they're made of straw, man. Like I wouldn't imagine them to move very quickly.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't
That's
know.
fair.
For fear factor, I gave them a 26.
Oh, okay.
I said scarecrows are just inherently creepy as fuck, and like enough said. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
they're creepy. And could we kill it? I gave it a 14.
Mhm.
So I think slightly easier than what you gave them.
Yeah.
But that's given the fact, like I said, if you're given enough time to prepare an attack from them, I
Mhm.
think you could kill them.
Yeah.
Like if you had time to sit and think, like, okay, they're made of straw, fire would defeat straw.
Yeah.
So I think you could kill them fairly easily. But if you get taken by surprise, like what happens with Truman, I think you're fucked.
Yeah.
So we do have a clear cut winner this week.
Okay.
Um, but some of the stats were actually pretty close.
Hmm.
So for brutality, the Scarecrow Folk win 25-21.
Okay.
Strength, the Jackal wins 23-21.
Ooh, close matchup.
Yeah. Dexterity, the Jackal wins 23-18.
Mm-hmm.
Fear factor, Jackal wins 26.5-23.
Mm-hmm.
Could we kill it? The Jackal wins 18-16.
Okay.
So Jackal wins 4-1. But a lot of those stats were really close.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you think? Because you're kind of giving me vibes like you don't agree with it.
No, I do, but just us reading all this is like incredibly stupid. So, but it was fun. I had a good time discussing this episode and
Yeah, I mean,
doing
whatever.
these stats. I mean, it's just for fun.
Exactly. We're not out here trying to
Yeah.
sound like we're
Yeah.
geniuses, like we know everything. We're
Yeah.
putting up scarecrow people against a fucking ghost.
Yeah. I mean, I would have loved to see Fornicus go up against the 12th ghost there.
Oh, the Juggernaut?
Yeah.
That'd have been dope.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
maybe we'll redo them.
Maybe.
All right. Well, that wraps it up. Next week, we are joined by our wonderful friend Eryka from the Horror Cafe podcast
Mhm.
to talk about a video game adaptation. One that was never well received,
Nope.
but will be a fun episode regardless. We're going to be talking about Doom next week.
Yeah.
I can honestly say I've only
Mhm.
watched this movie one time, and whenever it first came out,
Okay.
I
I
remember
think I've seen it 1.5 times.
1.5 times.
And the last time I tried watching it was, I don't even remember. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be a
Nice.
fun one.
It is. I remember it being very bad. And like
Yeah.
it came out when we were quite a bit younger. And like even back then thinking it was pretty bad. So I'm excited to watch it and to talk about it and most likely fucking rip it apart. But I think it's going to be fun regardless.
Yeah. Agreed.
So yeah. Come back next week. Listen to us talk about that wonderful movie. But we talked about how kind of stupid this was, but I had a blast talking about both of these movies. I think they're both really fun movies. So regardless of how dumb this matchup was, it was a fun conversation.
Yeah, it was.
And that's what this is all about. So fuck it.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. If you guys want to catch us on social media, you can find us at the Podcast on Elm Street on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you click the link in our bio on Instagram, you'll find links to our TeePublic account where we have our merch. There's also links to our Patreon account. And before I go any further, we have a new patron. And I forgot to shout him out at the beginning, but Ben from Extreme Horror Replay, thank you so much for your contributions to our Patreon account. We greatly appreciate it, and your stuff is already in the mail, so you should be getting it very soon. There's also links to each of our individual Letterboxd accounts, our Discord server, and anywhere that you can listen to us. Thank you again for sitting here and listening to us talk about who would win between a ghost and a bunch of scarecrows. As always, had a great time.
Yeah.
But,
ditto. All right, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
See yous later.